What if time doesn't move forward, but circles back again and again, and the myths we tell are echoes of lives we've already lived? In the beginning, there was no beginning. There was only the eternal now, vast, unmeasured, undivided. In the dawnless silence, before God stirred, before the cosmos exhaled its stars into the void, time had not yet begun its march. It was not a line nor a loop. It was potential. And from that potential rose the first myths, the sacred stories through which humanity sought to grasp the rhythms of life, the breath of death, the echo of return, across ages and civilizations, from the misty mountains of Vedic India to the shadowed underworlds of the Greeks, from the feathered serpents of Mesoamerica to the wheel of Dharma in the East. One question spun quietly beneath it all. Is time a circle? Does life not flow forward but return endlessly upon itself? Do we, in some mythic sense, live the same, lives over and over, trapped not in punishment but in divine rhythm, in sacred repetition? This is the tale of the eternal return, not merely a concept, but a sacred mood that hovers over the world's deepest myths. Not a doctrine, but a memory, older than reason, etched into stone temples and whispered by oracles. It is the idea that time is not an arrow but a wheel, that history is not progress but pattern, that we are not escaping the past, but becoming it again and again. Among the earliest voices of this vision come from India, where time was never thought of as a single road, but as a great turning. The universe itself, so say the Vedas, is born, expands, decays, and dies, only to be born again in cycles as vast as breath is to a god. Each kalpa, a day of Brahma, spans billions of human years. And yet even this is but a blink in the eye of eternity. For there is no final end, no ultimate salvation from the cosmos. The world ends only to begin anew, and all beings, gods, demons, and mortals alike, must ride this wheel of samsara, the ocean of becoming. Here, the myth does not whisper, but proclaims. Time is a circle, and within that circle, all souls are caught until they awaken. Yet to awaken is not to escape the circle, but to see it. The Buddha, when he sat beneath the Bodhi tree and pierced the illusions of self and suffering, did not shatter the wheel, he transcended it. Still, the world turns, the wheel spins, and the cycle of birth, death, rebirth remains the great grammar of existence. In ancient Greece, another vision forms, subtle, veiled, and mysterious. Here, time is often told as linear, heroic, tragic, but listen more closely, and in the subterranean temples of Eleusis, the spiral returns. The Eleusinian mysteries, veiled in secrecy and solemn rites, spoke of Persephone, the maiden who descends into death and rises again each spring. Her journey, though personal, is cosmic. It tells of a world where death is not the end, where the seasons themselves obey a rhythm of descent and return. Persephone is not merely a goddess. She is the soul, the seed, the world, and her movement is a spiral, not a march. Even the myths of Orpheus, that sorrowful singer who descended into the underworld to retrieve his love, echo with a strange, cyclic despair. He looks back, loses her, and the myth begins again. The poets who sang of him knew this wasn't just tragedy, it was recurrence. Love lost, love sought, love lost again, all beneath the pale gaze of Hades. Among the Stoics, this idea becomes crystal, hard-edged, philosophical. They speak of ekpyrosis, the periodic conflagration of the universe. The cosmos burns, then is reborn, identical in every way. Everything returns exactly as before. This is not comfort, it is weight, and yet it is law. The Stoics believed in a cosmic fire that consumed the world, and from its ashes, the world would rise again, unchanged. The eternal return here is not salvation, but structure. A cosmos of infinite recurrence, where even your reading of these words has happened before and will again. Nietzsche would later seize this idea and turn it into a spiritual challenge. If everything you do must be lived again, would you live differently? Would you embrace your fate, your suffering, your choices, not just once, but eternally? His eternal recurrence was not a myth in the traditional sense, but a modern echo of ancient rhythm. He asked, not whether the world repeats, but whether we are brave enough to will it in the far west. The myths of the Norse bear strange witness to recurrence, though shrouded in frost and doom. The world, for the Norse, does not proceed toward triumph, but toward Ragnarök, the twilight of the gods. Fire and frost, serpent and wolf, all converge upon the final battle. And yet, even in the ruin, there is renewal. A new world will arise from the sea, green and pure. The gods, though fallen, will be remembered. Some say even Balder, the radiant, God slain unjustly, shall return. The Norse did not offer comfort in this return, only clarity. What is lost shall rise. What is slain shall breathe again. Time devours, but also gives birth. And in this fierce turning, honor lies not in escape, but in embracing the pattern. The warrior dies, the world burns, and still the cycle turns. Mesoamerican myths speak with their own thunder. The Aztecs, inheriting ancient rhythms from the Olmec and Maya, believed the world had been created and destroyed multiple times. Each age, each sun, ends in cataclysm. One by jaguars, another by wind, another by rain of fire. The present world, the fifth sun, lives on borrowed time. Blood must be given to the gods to keep the sun rising, to delay the next destruction. It is not morality that keeps the cosmos alive, but sacrifice. The cycle demands offering. The return is not gentle, it is ravenous. In this vision, time is circular, not because it is peaceful, but because it is hungry. Gods, too, are caught in this cycle. They die, rise, devour, bless, and begin again. Life is a debt, and death is the only currency the world accepts. Among the Hopi people of North America, time spirals quietly through prophecy. The world moves through cycles, not just of seasons or moons, but of worlds. The first world was destroyed by fire, the second by ice, the third by flood. Now we live in the fourth world, and signs warn of its waning. The myths do not say when it will end, only that it will. And from its ashes, a fifth shall rise. For the Hopi, the circle is not abstract. It is instruction, a reminder to walk in balance, to remember that what was will be again. Even in the Hebrew tradition, often seen as more linear, the circle peeks through the cracks. The Sabbath, the sacred seventh day, repeats each week. The festivals follow a yearly rhythm. The Jubilee resets debts every 50 years. Time, though it advances toward a promised end, still turns, returns, repeats. Ecclesiastes whispers, "What has been will be again. There is nothing new under the sun." And though the prophets cry out for a messianic age, even that paradise feels more like restoration than revolution, a return to Eden, a harmony remembered rather than invented. The Christian tradition reshapes the cycle into a spiral, a return with transformation. Christ dies and rises. The world ends and begins anew. The Last Supper echoes the first. The Alpha becomes the Omega. Yet, even here, in this vision of resurrection and redemption, the rhythms of the eternal return pulse beneath the surface. The sacred calendar turns. The saints are remembered. The stations of the cross repeat. Death is overcome not by erasure, but by participation in its mystery. Again and again, in the East, the circle reigns supreme. In Taoism, the Tao flows like a river that bends upon itself. Yin and yang, dark and light, chase each other in an eternal dance. There is no final battle, no ultimate triumph, only balance, restored and restored again. In Confucian writes, ancestors are not gone, but returned in memory, in ritual, in blood. The past is not past. It lives in the gestures of the present. In Japanese Shinto, the kami spirits of nature are not immortal in the Western sense, but ever returning. The cherry blossoms fall, yet they bloom each year. The same, yet not the same. The festival celebrates not novelty, but return. It is in returning that we remember who we are. Even in modernity, beneath skyscrapers and silicon, the myth breathes. The seasons still turn. Generations still repeat. Wars echo. Empires fall and rise, then fall again. The myth of progress may dominate our language, but our bones remember something older. We mark birthdays, anniversaries, cycles of the moon. We relive traumas. We repeat patterns. In our dreams, the past walks with us, undying. Carl Jung saw this. He spoke of archetypes, ancient patterns in the collective unconscious that repeat endlessly in story, in self, in symbol. The hero's journey is not a single path, but a spiral. We descend to rise, and rise to descend again. Myths, to Jung, are not lies, they are echoes. Echoes of an eternal form. Mircea Eliade, the great historian of religion, saw the eternal return as the very heart of mythic thought. He argued that archaic man did not live in history as we do, but in mythic time, where every ritual, every act repeated a cosmic event. A wedding was not just a human bond, but a reenactment of divine union. A hunt was not just survival, but sacred participation in the first hunt. In this vision, time is not wasted, it is sanctified by returning. But what of us? What of now? We who count seconds and stock prices, who measure years by productivity and not by harvest moons, do we still believe in the circle? Maybe not with our mouths, but perhaps with our hearts. We feel it in grief, how it returns unexpectedly. We feel it in love, how patterns echo across different faces. We feel it in art, in music, in dreams. We know that healing is never a straight line. We learn the same lessons, fall in the same ways, try again, spiraling forward, if not returning whole. And perhaps that is the secret. The eternal return is not punishment.